The night Jordan Hale realized his life would never return to normal began like any other slow Wednesday in South Ridge, a neighborhood that had once been a proud working-class district, but now sat half-forgotten between railway tracks and abandoned factories. The streetlights flickered the same way they always had, humming with the same tired electrical buzz, and the cracked sidewalks were still dotted with weeds pushing through like quiet acts of rebellion. Jordan, a 24-year-old mechanic who lived alone in a small apartment above a laundromat, walked home from the auto shop with his backpack slung over one shoulder and an energy drink in the other hand. He was exhausted, but it was a familiar exhaustion, the kind that came from overtime hours, cheap coffee, and bills that never stopped arriving. Tonight should have been like any other night, but the city felt different in a way he could not explain. The air felt colder even though it was summer, and the wind carried a low metallic hum that vibrated faintly through his chest. He ignored it at first, chalking it up to construction work or his own tired brain playing tricks on him. But the sound stayed with him as he crossed Jackson Avenue toward the old bus stop, the one nobody used anymore because all the routes had been shut down years ago. The shelter stood under a broken lamp, its glass panels cracked and smeared with graffiti tags Jordan had seen 100 times before. But tonight a faint blue glow leaked from inside the shelter like a dying neon sign flickering on and off. Jordan slowed down. Something about that glow made his skin tighten like the air was charged with static. He considered taking the longer route home, but curiosity pulled him forward. When he stepped closer, he saw a shadow sitting on the bench inside the shelter. It looked like a person, but not exactly. It was tall, too tall, with limbs that bent slightly wrong. Its skin was dark but threaded with thin glowing lines, like veins of blue electricity pulsing rhythmically. Jordan froze mid-step. His throat tightened, and his heart hammered so loudly he thought the thing would hear it. For a few seconds, the world around him went silent. Even the metallic hum in the air faded. The figure slowly lifted its head, and its eyes, empty white circles without pupils, locked onto him. Jordan tried to run, but his feet would not move. He felt anchored to the concrete by some invisible force. The creature stood up smoothly, its movements eerily fluid, as if gravity had only a partial effect on it. When it stepped forward, the air rippled around its body like heat waves rising off asphalt. "You hear it, too." The voice didn't come from its mouth. Jordan heard it directly inside his skull, like a whisper curling behind his thoughts. He wanted to scream but couldn't. His body refused to obey. The creature stretched out a long, trembling hand. Blue energy crackled at its fingertips. Jordan felt his legs shaking, his lungs straining for air. The creature's voice echoed again inside his head. "Something is waking up. Find..." A violent jolt of electricity burst from its body, lighting up the entire bus stop. The shockwave hit Jordan like a sledgehammer. He flew backward, crashing onto the pavement, the world spinning in a dizzy blur of blue flashes and ringing ears. When he looked up, the creature was collapsing, its body flickering like a glitching hologram. It reached toward him one last time, but its hand dissolved into particles of light that scattered into the air. Within seconds, the figure vanished completely, leaving nothing but a scorch mark on the concrete and a faint smell of burnt metal. Jordan lay there gasping, staring at the empty spot where the creature had been. He tried to convince himself he was hallucinating, that exhaustion had finally broken him, but the scorch mark was real. The static charge in the air was real, and the metallic hum was growing louder. He forced himself up, shaking uncontrollably. Every instinct told him to run home and lock himself inside. The streetlights flickered violently now, buzzing like angry insects. He grabbed his backpack and stumbled away from the bus stop without looking back. When he reached his apartment building, he slammed the door behind him and leaned against it, breathing hard. His hands were trembling so violently he had to grip the doorknob to steady himself. After several minutes, he managed to climb the stairs to his unit, fumbling with the keys before finally getting inside. He dropped his backpack onto the couch and splashed water on his face in the bathroom sink. His reflection stared back at him, wide eyes, pale skin, and a faint blue glow pulsing behind his irises. He blinked rapidly. The glow faded, then returned, flickering in sync with the same hum he had heard outside. His chest tightened with fear. He splashed more water on his face, hoping the glow would disappear, but it didn't. Something had changed inside him. He backed away from the mirror and collapsed on the bed, still fully dressed, his mind spinning in 1,000 directions. He grabbed his phone and almost dialed Marcus, his coworker and closest friend, but stopped. What would he say? "Hey man, I saw a glowing electric alien ghost thing at the bus stop, and now my eyes look like LED lights." No one would believe that. He barely believed it himself. After an hour of lying awake, he drifted into a restless sleep filled with visions of pulsing blue circuitry crawling across the sky like living veins. He dreamed of deep underground tunnels stretching beneath South Ridge, filled with humming machinery older than the city itself. He dreamed of enormous metallic shapes shifting under the earth, waking up slowly like giants emerging from centuries of slumber. Then he dreamed of the creature from the bus stop, reaching for him again, its voice echoing inside his head, louder this time. "Find the signal, follow the frequency. You are not." Lightning exploded through the dream, cutting the voice off. Jordan woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. His heart raced, and the metallic hum was louder than ever, vibrating through the walls, the floor, even his bones. He sat up quickly. The glow behind his eyes pulsed in the darkness of his room like tiny storms. And then he saw it. Something had been scratched into the inside of his bedroom door while he slept. 3 jagged lines forming a triangle, the same shape he had seen burning in the scorch mark at the bus stop. His breath caught in his throat. Someone or something had been in his room. The air smelled faintly of ozone. The metallic hum felt like it was coming from beneath the floorboards now, rising toward him like a warning. Jordan backed away from the door, his hands shaking uncontrollably. Before he could react, his phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Do not try to run, you were chosen. The countdown has started. They are coming for you." Jordan stared at the message, his stomach turning with dread. Whoever texted him knew what happened at the bus stop. They knew about the symbol, they knew about the hum, and worse, they knew about him. As he stood in the darkness of his room, his phone buzzed again. Another message: "You have 72 hours before the first breach." Jordan dropped the phone. His legs felt weak. This wasn't random. It wasn't a hallucination. Something ancient and powerful had touched him. Something was coming, and he was now part of it. Jordan stood frozen in the dim room, the glow behind his eyes flickering like a pair of tiny blue embers struggling to stay lit. The hum rising through the floorboards grew sharper, more synchronized, almost like it was responding to his heartbeat. He took one shaky breath and forced himself to pick up his phone again. The screen still displayed the message: "You have 72 hours before the first breach." His mind ran in circles. The creature at the bus stop, the symbol carved into his door, the dreams of underground machinery, and now this warning. It all pointed to something enormous and something far beyond his understanding. He wanted to call someone, anyone, but who could he trust? The message said not to trust the city, not to trust anyone. That meant the threat wasn't random. Someone in South Ridge, maybe multiple people, were involved. Someone knew what had happened to him. Someone knew what touched him that night. Jordan stuffed the phone into his pocket, grabbed a hoodie, and stepped outside his bedroom door to the small kitchen. The symbol on the inside of the bedroom door seemed to vibrate faintly when he walked past it, as if reacting to his presence. He didn't touch it. He couldn't. Instead, he grabbed his motorcycle keys from the counter, slung on his jacket, and walked out into the hallway. The building was quiet except for the distant hum. now stronger, now more rhythmic. It sounded almost like gears turning somewhere deep inside the earth. When he reached the street, the city lights flickered again. A dog barked somewhere across the block, then suddenly went silent. Jordan climbed onto his bike, started the engine, and sped down Jackson Avenue, the cold wind whipping against his face. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew he couldn't stay still. Every instinct told him movement was safer. Motion kept him away from whatever was tracking him. After 15 minutes, he reached the edge of the South Ridge Industrial Zone, a place filled with abandoned warehouses and empty loading docks. The area looked lifeless, but the hum beneath the ground grew louder here, pulsing through the concrete like a heartbeat. Jordan parked behind an old warehouse marked Ridgeway Freight. The building had been vacant for years, but tonight one of the windows glowed faintly, blue, the same color he saw in the creature. Jordan approached cautiously. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from some new strange energy flowing through his veins. Every time the hum peaked, his fingertips buzzed. He reached the window and peered inside. Rows of old shipping crates lined the interior, but in the center of the warehouse stood something completely out of place. A large cylindrical machine, humming softly, covered in glowing blue markings. Standing beside the machine were two figures wearing dark jackets with a patch that made Jordan's stomach drop. The same triangle shape, the same three jagged lines. He ducked quickly beneath the window. Adrenaline shot through his chest. These people weren't connected to the creature by accident. They were part of whatever happened that night. He needed closer information. Moving quietly around the building, he found a sliding door slightly cracked open. He slipped inside. The warehouse smelled of dust, metal, and ozone. The humming machine in the center glowed brighter now, as if sensing him. The two figures continued their work, unaware they were being watched. Jordan crouched behind a stack of crates and listened. One of the figures spoke. "We're ahead of schedule. The breach point will be ready within 48 hours. The other replied, "The entity made contact with the subject earlier than predicted. That accelerates everything." Jordan held his breath. The subject. They were talking about him. Does the signal show any deviation? "Minimal," the second figure said. His resonance levels spiked when he encountered the prototype. But he survived the exposure. That means the calibration worked. And the entity. It destabilized too fast. It wasn't supposed to engage him directly. Jordan's heart pounded. He wasn't crazy. The creature had been real, and these people created it, used it as something like a test, a prototype. A woman's voice suddenly echoed from the far corner of the warehouse. He was chosen because his neurofrequency aligns with the core pattern. Don't act surprised. The two men stiffened. Jordan peeked around the crate. A woman stepped into the light wearing a long black coat with the same triangle insignia stitched on her sleeve. Her presence was unsettling, calm, confident, and dangerously composed. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. Jordan ducked back into hiding. She spoke again, her voice cold and authoritative. "We don't have time for mistakes. The breach will occur in phases, and South Ridge is only the first point of activation. Once the system beneath the city powers on completely, we won't be able to shut it down." "Then why involve the subject at all?" One man asked. She looked annoyed. "Because the core responds to human frequency. It needs someone whose resonance matches its signal. Without him, the breach fails. With him, the machine awakens." The hum beneath Jordan's feet suddenly intensified, syncing with his heartbeat, as if the machine recognized him. Jordan felt lightheaded. He steadied himself against the crate. The woman continued. "Find him before the countdown reaches 48 hours. Bring him in alive, no improvisation." The men nodded. "Yes, Director Navarro." Jordan's breath caught. Director Navarro left the warehouse, her footsteps echoing sharply. The men shut off the machine's outer lights and walked toward the opposite exit. Jordan realized he had to leave now. But as he turned, the humming machine pulsed brightly. A shockwave of blue energy burst outward. Even though it was silent, it felt like thunder in his skull. Jordan fell to one knee, clutching his head. His vision blurred into streaks of blue. His fingertips glowed again, brighter this time. The machine was responding to him, calling him. The lights across the machine surged, and then Jordan heard something, an unmistakable mechanical voice inside his mind. Signal match confirmed. Subject recognized. Core awakening protocol initiated. Jordan's breathing staggered. The voice continued in a monotone hum. Synchronization at 11%. Further proximity required. He stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a crate, and forced himself to run. He dashed through the warehouse door and sprinted to his motorcycle. His veins buzzed with electrical heat. The hum vibrated through his head like a drilling sound. He sped out of the industrial zone and didn't stop until he reached the old basketball court in South Ridge. He parked, sat on the cracked pavement, and tried to breathe. "What the hell is happening to me?" He whispered. The metallic hum faded slightly, his pulse slowed, but the glow in his eyes didn't disappear this time. It stayed, persistent, alive. As he sat there, his phone buzzed again. Another unknown text. "You're getting too close. Keep your distance from Ridgeway. Navarro will find you." Jordan typed quickly, "Who are you?" The reply came almost instantly. "Someone who wants to keep you alive. Listen carefully. What touched you at the bus stop wasn't one of them. It was trying to warn you." Jordan swallowed hard. "Warn me about what?" "About the machine beneath South Ridge, about the breach, about Navarro's plan to activate something older than the city itself." Jordan exhaled shakily. "Why me?" "Because the core needs a human anchor. It chose you, and that means you're the only one who can stop what's coming." The message ended there. Jordan stared at the screen, terrified and confused. The hum beneath the ground felt like it was rearranging the air around him, growing, evolving, waking. And then he heard sirens, not police sirens, not fire trucks, something else. Something deeper, more mechanical, echoing from far beneath the city like a metal serpent roaring to life. Jordan rose slowly. The hairs on his arms lifted. The glow in his eyes intensified. Something beneath South Ridge had just activated another level of the machine, and the countdown had begun. The sound rising from beneath South Ridge was unlike anything Jordan had ever heard. It wasn't just noise. It was a vibration that crawled through the air, trembled through the pavement, and drilled its way directly into his bloodstream. Standing on the cracked basketball court, he felt the entire ground pulse like a living organism. The blue glow in his eyes synchronized with each tremor, speeding up every time the underground machine shifted frequencies. His breath grew shallow. Even the streetlights around him flickered in rhythm with the hum, creating a haunting strobe across the empty neighborhood. Jordan grabbed his motorcycle and took off, tires skidding slightly as he sped through the night, trying desperately to outrun a sound that was coming from everywhere at once. He didn't know where he was going, but he needed distance from the industrial zone and from Navarro's people. The unknown messenger had warned him. Navarro was hunting him. Whoever she was, she had plans that involved him directly. As he rode down South Ridge Boulevard, his phone buzzed again. One-handed, he pulled it from his pocket, glancing down long enough to read the text. "They activated Phase 2. Get off the streets. Now." Jordan looked up just in time to see a black SUV turn the corner ahead, headlights blinding. The vehicle accelerated toward him. His heart lurched. He veered sharply into a side street, the bike nearly tipping but recovering at the last second. The SUV screeched behind him, tires burning rubber on the pavement. Jordan gunned the throttle. The wind slammed into his chest as he sped between rows of shuttered shops and boarded windows. He heard the SUV gaining on him, closing the distance. Suddenly, the air around him rippled, blue static flickering across the buildings. The hum intensified. His eyes burned with blinding blue heat. Jordan swung the bike sharply into an alley. The narrow passage scraped against his jacket as he flew through. The SUV tried to follow but slammed into a dumpster, metal exploding with a crash. Jordan shot out the other side of the alley, heart hammering. He sped toward the railway bridge, but as he approached, he saw two more black SUVs parked under it, engines running. Navarro's people weren't just searching, they were coordinated, mobilizing the entire district to find him. Jordan hit the brakes, skidding toward the curb. He pivoted the bike and accelerated in the opposite direction. But before he could get far, one of the SUVs pulled onto the street ahead, blocking the path. Two figures stepped out, both wearing the same triangle insignia. Jordan's pulse fired. He jumped off the bike and ran toward an abandoned convenience store. The windows were cracked, the door hanging slightly open. He burst inside and ducked behind a shelf. The hum from underground grew louder as if feeding off the tension. His fingertips glowed again, blue sparks crackling faintly in the darkness. He could hear the footsteps outside. Slow, calculated. One of the agents spoke quietly into a radio. "South corner, the subject is close. His signal is spiking." Jordan held his breath. He pressed his back against the shelf. The glow in his hands grew brighter. He tried to will it away, but it only intensified. The second agent stepped inside the store, scanning with a small handheld device. The device beeped sharply the moment it pointed toward Jordan's hiding spot. "He's here," the agent said. "Energy spike confirmed." Jordan braced himself as the agent approached. The glow in his hands surged. He felt a foreign current rushing through him like liquid electricity. When the agent rounded the shelf, Jordan reacted on instinct, thrusting his hand out. A burst of blue energy exploded from his palm, slamming into the agent like a shockwave. The man flew backward, crashing into a row of empty refrigerators. Jordan stared at his own hand, horrified. He didn't know how he did that. He didn't know he could do that. The second agent shouted, raising his weapon. Jordan ran for the back exit, kicking it open. The cold night air hit him like a slap. He sprinted into the alley, feet pounding the concrete. Behind him, the agent yelled into his comm. "Subject has developed projection abilities. Repeat, subject initiated an energy discharge." Jordan didn't stop running until the alley ended at another row of empty buildings. The hum beneath the ground followed him like a shadow. He leaned against a wall, gasping. His hands still crackled with faint blue static. He felt like a walking conduit for something far older and far stronger than him. Before he could gather himself, his phone buzzed again. "East Side. Apartment complex with the red fire escape. Go there, now." Jordan didn't know if he could trust the mysterious texter, but he had no other option. Navarro's people were closing in, and his powers, whatever they were unpredictable. He sprinted through the empty streets until he found the old apartment complex. The red fire escape was rusty, barely attached. Jordan climbed it quickly and slipped inside a window on the third floor. The apartment was empty except for a single desk lamp casting a dim yellow glow. A figure stood in the corner, cloak draped over their shoulders. Jordan tensed, ready to fight. The figure raised their hands slowly. "Relax. If I wanted to hand you over, I wouldn't have told you how to escape." Jordan hesitated. "Are you the one messaging me?" The figure pulled back the hood. A woman in her late 20s, sharp eyes, tired expression, short black hair. But unlike Navarro's agents, she had no insignia on her clothing. "My name is Riley," she said. "I used to work for Navarro until I learned what she was really planning." Jordan's pulse steadied slightly. What is she planning? Riley motioned for him to sit. Jordan didn't sit. Riley sighed. "There's a machine beneath South Ridge, built long before the city. It wasn't made by humans, not fully. The earliest settlers found remnants of an old metallic structure buried underground. They thought it was geological at first. Then they found the resonance chambers." Jordan frowned. "Resonance chambers. Structures that respond to biological frequencies," Riley said. Think of them like ancient engines powered by human thought patterns. Navarro discovered the core decades later through classified excavation. She realized the core reacts to certain frequencies, rare ones. Jordan swallowed. Mine. Riley nodded slowly. Only a handful of humans match the core's pattern. Navarro spent years trying to replicate it artificially, that prototype at the bus stop. It wasn't supposed to make physical contact with you. It was designed to test your resonance from a distance. Jordan's stomach turned. It touched me. And now, he looked at his glowing hands. Riley nodded grimly. Now the core is syncing with you. That's why you're hearing the hum. That's why you can project energy. You're not infected. You're attuned. Jordan paced the room. The messages said I'm the only one who can stop this. Riley nodded. Navarro wants to breach the core, activate it fully. Once that happens, the entire city becomes a conduit. Energy will surge up through the ground, rewriting everything it touches. Jordan stared at her. Rewriting. Matter structures, biology. It doesn't destroy, she said quietly. It transforms. Jordan felt cold. Into what? Riley's jaw tightened. Into whatever the core was originally designed for. Navarro believes it's a weapon. She thinks she can control its output by controlling you. The room seemed to shrink around him. A weight pressed against his chest. The hum returning, steady, insistent. Riley stepped closer. You have 70 hours left. Once the breach hits phase 3, it won't matter where you run. The core will pull you in. Jordan clenched his fists. How do I stop it? Riley hesitated. You'll have to enter the core chamber. And then? Your frequency will either shut it down or merge with it. Jordan felt his pulse spike. Merge, Riley nodded. If you merge, you won't come back out. Silence settled heavy between them. Jordan's breath shook. The glow in his eyes pulsed sharply, and the hum outside shifted to a deeper, darker tone. Riley turned toward the window. Navarro's people are sweeping the district. We don't have time. If you're going to decide whether to fight or run, you need to decide now. Jordan looked at his hands again. Blue energy flickered between his fingers like ghostly flames. He closed his eyes, feeling the hum pulling at him like gravity. When he opened them, he already knew the answer. The moment Jordan opened his eyes, the entire apartment trembled. The hum from beneath South Ridge wasn't just sound anymore. It was a pulse, almost like a heartbeat resonating through the walls. Riley moved quickly to the window, pulling the blinds just enough to peer outside. They're closer than I expected, she whispered. Jordan joined her, and what he saw made his breath catch. 3 black SUVs, dozens of Navarro's operatives, drones hovering low, scanning windows with faint red lines. A mobile satellite truck parked at the curb, its dish rotating silently. This wasn't a search team anymore. This was a capture perimeter. Riley grabbed Jordan's wrist, pulling him away from the window. Listen to me, she said sharply. You're about to feel something strange, more intense than the hum. Don't fight it. Jordan frowned. Why? Because fighting it will make you unstable, she said. And unstable resonance is exactly what Navarro wants. If your energy spikes too fast, the core will sense it and accelerate phase 3. Jordan's pulse hammered. What does that mean? Riley took a breath. It means the countdown shortens. Instead of 70 hours, we could have 7. Jordan felt the floor vibrate under his feet, not from the operatives outside, but from deep beneath the city. The resonance was getting stronger by the minute, building pressure like a dam about to burst. We need to move, Riley said. There's a safe route through the maintenance tunnels. If we can reach the old metro station, I can get us underground without triggering any of Navarro's scanners. Jordan nodded, but before they could take a step, the apartment door shook violently. Someone tried the handle, then a voice, calm, cold, amplified through a distortion device. Jordan Hale, we know you're inside. Do not resist. Step away from the windows and place both hands where we can see them. Riley cursed under her breath. Jordan felt the blue glow in his eyes ignite again. His palms tingled as energy built up involuntarily. Don't use it, Riley whispered. Not yet. I don't know how to stop it, Jordan hissed. The door shook again, harder. "Last warning, open the door." Riley grabbed Jordan's arm and pulled him toward the back of the apartment. She kicked open a narrow utility closet, revealing a maintenance ladder leading down into darkness. "Go," she said. "Move fast." Jordan slid onto the ladder, climbing down rapidly. Riley followed, closing the panel above them. The moment the panel clicked shut, the apartment door upstairs exploded open. Boots stormed in. Voices barked orders. Jordan climbed faster. The ladder led down to a dim concrete corridor lined with old pipes and electrical boxes. The hum was louder down here, almost unbearable. Riley dropped beside him and landed lightly. She grabbed a flashlight from her belt and signaled for him to follow her deeper into the tunnels. "Where do these go?" Jordan asked. "Old municipal routes," Riley said. "This city has miles of infrastructure that no one uses anymore. Navarro controls the streets and the tech above ground, but down here, she's blind." They walked quickly, their footsteps echoing through the narrow corridor. Jordan's head throbbed with the deep resonance vibrating through the pipes. "Why does it feel like the hum is getting inside my head?" Jordan asked. Riley hesitated before answering. "Because it is. The core is communicating with you, or syncing more accurately." Jordan shivered. "What does it want?" "To activate," Riley said. "It's been dormant for centuries, waiting for someone with your frequency to wake it up." Jordan swallowed hard. "So I'm a key." "You're the only key," Riley said softly. They turned a corner and entered a much wider tunnel. Rusted train tracks stretched out into the darkness. Old metro signs hung crookedly from the walls, names of long-abandoned stations fading with time. Riley kept moving. "Stay alert. Sometimes these tunnels flood or collapse." As they walked, Jordan noticed faint blue flickers in the tunnel ahead, not reflections, not lights, something else. "Riley," he whispered, pointing. Riley froze, lifting her flashlight. "Stay behind me." They moved cautiously toward the flickering lights. As they got closer, Jordan realized they weren't lights, they were projections, ghost-like shapes floating above the ground, shimmering and glitching in and out of existence. Human silhouettes. Entire crowds, all standing in absolute stillness. What are those?" Jordan whispered. Riley stared grimly. "Resonance echoes, they appear when the core is close to breaching. They're impressions of people who passed through this area decades ago." Echoed consciousness, not alive, not dangerous, just remnants. Jordan's heart pounded as they walked through the motionless crowd of light. The echoes flickered, dissolving whenever he got too close. "Why do they react to me?" "Because you're emitting a stronger resonance than they are," Riley said. "Your presence disrupts them." Jordan shuddered. "I hate this." "Good," Riley said. "You should." After several minutes, they emerged into a vast underground chamber. An old metro platform stretched across the space, covered in dust. Riley stopped. "This is the part that's going to be difficult," she said. Jordan looked around. "Difficult how?" "Because Navarro has access points even down here. She can't track you directly without surface sensors, but she can seal exits. We need to get to the east line before she realizes where we've gone." Jordan took a breath. "Lead the way." But before Riley could move, a low mechanical whir echoed through the chamber. Jordan and Riley spun around. A spherical drone rose from the far end of the platform, red lights glowing along its central axis. "Damn it," Riley whispered. "Recon drone, if it scans you..." The drone emitted a piercing beep. "It'll alert the entire perimeter," Riley finished. Jordan felt the hum spike violently in his head. His hands glowed brighter than before. Instinct surged through him. His pulse synced with the resonance. The drone aimed a scanning laser directly at him. Jordan raised his hand without thinking. A burst of blue energy shot forward, striking the drone midair. The machine convulsed, sparks erupting from its panels. It crashed onto the tracks, sizzling. Riley stared at Jordan wide-eyed. That was stronger than before. Jordan grabbed his head, wincing. "I didn't try to do it, it just happened." Riley moved quickly to the drone, examining the remains. This isn't good. Navarro will see the signal drop. They'll know this drone was destroyed, and when they see where it went offline, they'll know we're underground. Jordan's chest tightened. So what now? Riley stood, urgency in her voice. Now we run. They sprinted across the platform and into another tunnel, this one narrower with only a single track curving into the distance. The hum intensified the deeper they went. Jordan could feel vibrations rising through his legs, climbing up his spine. It's getting stronger, he said. The core is directly beneath this line, Riley said. We're moving toward its outer chamber, but that's not where we're headed, not yet. Then where? To someone who can help you survive it. Jordan looked at her sharply. Someone else knows about this. One person, Riley said. The only person Navarro couldn't control. They ran in silence for several minutes. The tunnel opened into a vast maintenance junction filled with metal scaffolding and forgotten machinery. Pipes ran along the walls like veins. Riley slowed down. He should be here. Jordan glanced around. Who is he? Dr. Arvon, Riley said quietly. He was part of the original excavation team. Before Navarro silenced the research department. Jordan frowned, silenced. Riley's jaw tightened. He survived only because he disappeared before Navarro could get to him. Suddenly, a metallic clang echoed from above. Jordan and Riley spun, staring up at the layers of scaffolding. A figure stepped into the faint light, a man with a thick gray beard wearing an old maintenance coat. His eyes were sharp and alert despite his disheveled appearance. "Riley," the man said, "you shouldn't have come back here." Riley exhaled with relief. "Arvon, we had no choice." Arvon looked past her, staring directly at Jordan. His expression changed instantly, recognition, fear, all mixing at once. "It's him," Arvon whispered. "The resonance carrier." Jordan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "You know what's happening to me." Arvon climbed down the scaffolding slowly. "More than you realize." The hum intensified. Riley stepped closer to Arvon. Navarro reached phase 2. Jordan triggered projection abilities. Arvon's eyes widened. "Then we're out of time." Jordan stepped forward. "What does the core want from me?" Arvon studied him. "It doesn't want your destruction, it wants your completion." Jordan swallowed. "Completion of what?" Arvon answered with a trembling voice. "The core wasn't built to destroy this city, it was built to convert it." "Into what?" Jordan asked. Arvon's expression darkened. "Into another version of itself." Jordan's pulse spiked. "You're saying it wants to turn everything into more of its own structure." "Not structure," Arvon said quietly. "System, a consciousness field. If Navarro opens the central chamber, the entire region will merge into a single resonant network. You won't die, Jordan, you'll dissolve." The hum roared in Jordan's ears. His vision flickered with blue static. "Then tell me how to stop it." Arvon hesitated. Riley stepped forward. "Arvon, tell him." The old scientist sighed. "If you want to shut the core down, you must override its frequency with your own." "Can I?" Jordan asked. "Maybe," Arvon said. "But there's a risk." Jordan braced himself. "What risk?" Arvon looked him directly in the eyes. "If your resonance is stronger than the core's, it will collapse. If the core's is stronger than yours, you will merge with it permanently." Jordan nodded slowly. "I understand." Riley stepped closer. "Arvon, we need a plan." But before Arvon could answer, the tunnel filled with a piercing alarm. Red lights flashed along the walls. Riley's face drained of color. "No," she whispered. "They found us." Arvon looked at Jordan urgently. "You need to go now." Boots echoed in the distance. Voices, dozens of them. Navarro's operatives had breached the junction. Jordan felt the hum explode inside him like a detonating star. Blue light poured from his eyes uncontrollably. Riley grabbed his arm. Arvon pointed to a narrow staircase leading downward. "The lower level will take you to the outer chamber. It's the only place where the resonance won't overload you." Jordan started toward the stairs, but Riley pulled him back. "Jordan, wait." Her voice cracked slightly. "When we go down there, everything changes." Jordan met her eyes, the city shook with the hum, the blue glow flared brighter. "I know," he said. "Let's finish this." Jordan descended the narrow staircase into the bowels of the city. The air grew heavier with every step, charged with a resonance that made his chest tighten and his vision shimmer in shades of blue. Riley followed closely behind, her flashlight slicing through the darkness, but even its beam seemed dim against the intensity of the hum. Arvon's warning echoed in Jordan's mind. The resonance could either save him or consume him. Each step felt like a battle between his own energy and the core's invisible pull. The staircase opened into a vast cavern beneath the old metro system. The walls were lined with crystalline formations that pulsed faintly in rhythm with the hum. In the center, a circular platform loomed, surrounded by ancient machinery, cables, and dormant panels, like an altar to an alien intelligence. Jordan instinctively knew this was the outer chamber Arvon had described, the interface between the city and the core. Riley whispered urgently, "This is it. Once you step onto the platform, the resonance will fully synchronize. Navarro's operatives are already above us. They'll sense any spike." Jordan's palms tingled violently, blue energy flickering across his skin. "I feel it, the core, it's trying to reach me directly." Arvon, who had followed them down the stairs, placed a trembling hand on Jordan's shoulder. "Steady yourself. Focus on your own frequency. Let it flow through you, not against you." Jordan nodded, gripping his own chest as if channeling his heartbeat into something larger. The crystalline walls reacted immediately, glowing brighter with the intensity of his energy. The hum escalated to a roar, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with a visible ripple. As he stepped onto the platform, visions struck his mind. Cities transforming into luminous networks, people's consciousness blending into a unified pulse, landscapes dissolving into energy. It was beautiful and terrifying at once. Navarro's plan wasn't just control, it was rebirth through assimilation. And Jordan realized the horrifying truth. The core didn't care who lived or died, it only needed a conduit. Riley shouted over the roar of the resonance, "You can do this. Channel it, don't fight it." Jordan clenched his fists, feeling his pulse merge with the thrum of the crystalline walls. A brilliant blue aura enveloped him, and the cavern was bathed in light so intense that even the dormant machinery flickered and sparked. Above, Navarro's team breached the outer tunnel, their footsteps shaking the chamber. Navarro herself stepped forward, a tall figure in black tactical gear, her expression unreadable. "Jordan Hale," she called, her voice amplified through the cavern, "you can't resist the inevitable. The city will be mine." Jordan's eyes glowed brighter. "I'm not resisting, I'm choosing." He focused on his own resonance, on the pulses of life around him, on the memories and identities of the city itself. Slowly, the blue energy extended outward, not as destruction but as harmonization. The crystalline walls reacted, spreading the energy into the cavern, into the tunnels, into the forgotten networks of the city. Navarro's operatives screamed as their sensors overloaded. Red lights shattered, drones fizzled, and her attempts to interface with the core failed. Navarro's eyes widened, a rare flicker of fear crossing her face. "No, you don't understand." Jordan's voice resonated over hers, amplified by the core. "I understand perfectly. This city isn't yours to control, and I'm not letting it be weaponized." The blue aura intensified until it became a wave of pure energy that surged through the city's underground, reaching every dormant node and structure. The core's hum harmonized with Jordan's heartbeat. Navarro tried to resist, but the synchronization overwhelmed her, cutting her off from the network. For a moment, time seemed to pause. Then, with a deep, echoing pulse, the resonance exploded outward, a wave of harmonic light that spread through the city and beyond. When Jordan's vision cleared, he was still on the platform, the cavern calm once more. The crystalline formations had dimmed, returning to a dormant state, but the hum was gone. He was exhausted, drained of energy, but alive. Riley collapsed beside him, catching her breath. "You did it," she whispered. Arvon stepped forward, eyes wet with awe. "I've never seen anything like it. You didn't just stop Navarro, you integrated the system without destroying it." Jordan looked out toward the tunnel entrance. Navarro's operatives were retreating, their plans shattered. Navarro herself had vanished, leaving only a faint shimmer where she had been. "Where did she go?" Riley asked. Jordan shook his head. "Doesn't matter. She won't be able to touch the city now, not after what happened here." The cavern was silent, save for the distant echoes of dripping water and the faint, natural hum of the city resuming life. Arvon placed a hand on Jordan's shoulder again. "You've done more than survive. You've rewritten what the core was meant to do. Life, not control, now flows through it." Jordan nodded slowly, exhaustion washing over him. For the first time, the pulse in his head felt natural calm. The city was alive, connected, but free. Riley stood, brushing dust off her jacket. "We need to get back above ground before Navarro or anyone else figures out we're still alive." Jordan followed, stepping off the platform, feeling his body finally relax as the energy dissipated. As they climbed the tunnel back toward the surface, the city above seemed different. Vibrant, awake, and filled with a subtle glow that only someone who had been through the underground would notice. When they emerged into the daylight, the streets were calm. People moved about, unaware of the disaster that had almost consumed them, unaware of the invisible network Jordan had harmonized beneath their feet. Arvon looked around, smiling faintly. "A new chapter begins," he said. Riley nodded, glancing at Jordan. "And you're the city's guardian now, whether you like it or not." Jordan took a deep breath, the sunlight warming his face. For the first time in weeks, he felt hope, not fear. Navarro's shadow was gone for now, but he knew vigilance was necessary. The city hummed quietly beneath them, alive, free, and aware. Jordan's hands glowed faintly in the sunlight, a reminder of the power he now bore not as a weapon but as a shield. He looked at Riley and Arvon. "We rebuild, we protect, and we make sure what happened never happens again." Riley smiled, exhausted but relieved. Arvon nodded, his eyes glinting with renewed purpose. Together they walked into the city streets, ready to face whatever came next. As they disappeared into the bustling crowd, a faint ripple in the air hinted that the resonance network remained, alive and vigilant, a living heartbeat beneath the city, forever harmonized, forever free. The city had survived, Jordan had survived, and for the first time the hum beneath South Ridge wasn't a warning, it was a promise.